Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Anything Liverpool live stream with myself, Dylan, SJ, and Hussein. Thank you so much for joining us on this beautiful midweek day where it is the international break, so we don't have to look forward to football at the weekend. I joke, I miss Liverpool, and I know some people don't miss Liverpool at the moment, but that's fine. We had a bit of a loss before going into an international break. It's not nice to have that happen, unfortunately, but we are here to Liverpool. This is what we are tasked with today. We will be discussing how we will fix Liverpool going forward and what formation changes maybe need to take place as a result of this, but we will take a look into it. With me today on the panel, I have Dylan, who's been on with me before, and I have Hussein, who joined us very recently, and also first time on stream with myself is SJ. Gentlemen, Dylan, I'm going to come to you first. How are you feeling about the international break? Are you excited to watch Ireland play and get their shit pushed in? Because I know I am.
Yeah, I wish I could be excited to watch us lose to Portugal and Hungary and back-to-back games and end up probably finishing bottom of the group. But I'd like to say we could dream about a playoff place, but it's just not going to happen, is it? So, yeah, see what happens in those two games. But international break is what it is, isn't it? Just get through it. No injuries, hopefully, for Liverpool players when they come back fitter and healthier afterwards. But good to see you all, fellas. And, yeah, international break, just get through it.
Yeah, it is one of those where, well, the way that I look at it, Dylan, is Cristiano Ronaldo pulled up in training, so he's not playing for Portugal. And Bruno Fernandes also got injured before going on international break, so he's not playing. So you just know we're going to lose with a 90th minute winner from Portugal, and that's just going to be the way that it is. That's just the life of an Irish football fan, unfortunately, the last 20-odd years. SJ, first time being on stream with myself. Welcome. Good to see you. Glad to be on with stream with you. How are you doing? How have you found the last game and sort of the attitude coming into the international break? And how are you feeling? Is it a good break to have, or do you want us to keep going and try and, fix the problem rather than going away on another international break?
Yeah, obviously that was, it was difficult to watch that on the weekend, to be honest with you. Even more disappointing because we had those two really amazing results on Saturday and the Tuesday as well. So a little bit deflating because I genuinely did think we were going to get something from the game. I didn't think we were going to play that bad because he pretty much kept the same squad from the Madrid game and the Villa game. So I was quite excited for it. And then obviously that happened and it was just very depressing.
Yeah, it really was. We have one of the other hosts. We have one of the other hosts, Harold, here saying that he wants the solution now. And don't worry, Arne Slot is probably watching this stream and we will get on to the solutions in a moment. Hussein, welcome to the Anything Liverpool channel, your first stream with ourselves. Happy to have you here. Your first experience with the stream and with the chat and everything was the Man City game. Sorry, I might have broke up there a little bit, but I said what your first stream and your first sort of initial reaction with the group was the Man City game. How did you find us very reasonable and measured and well thought out in our comments, Liverpool fans, compared to others you may have interacted with? And how do you feel going into this international break? Is it a welcome break? Did we need it? Or were you of the opinion that we were in some good form, but maybe had a bit of a stumbling block and needed to continue with it? How were you feeling?
I mean, I think it's a bit of both. I'm a bit happy that we had the international break, so maybe we can see Isaac coming back from injury sooner than later. Unfortunately, I'm Swedish, so I'll have to see my team lose again internationally. It's been awful.
But you have Graham Potter now. You're okay.
Yeah, we have Graham Potter, but Isak is still injured and Gyökeres is out and Kulusevski, so it's dark.
Oh.
But, I mean, to be fair, the City game, I couldn't watch the entire first half because I was at football myself. But I mean, I've read a lot of stats and looked into the game more after, and I understand now why it was so hectic in the chat. It was, I had a lot of hope coming into the game, but I guess that's my bad.
Yeah, look, I think a lot of people had a lot of hope coming into the game because of how similar both Man City and Real Madrid play, almost identically similar. And we'll take a look at the Real Madrid and we'll take a look at the sort of the tactics of everything. And we have this person who got kicked from the group because they're an absolute dickhead. So hello to you. Zero. I have zero football knowledge. Everyone in the chat in the WhatsApp group, you were presenting a Liverpool squad to be Superman. Okay, right. Good luck to you. I'm not even entertaining that argument. SJ and Hussein, this was a gentleman that joined our group chat and said that we needed another 7 or 8 players on top of the ones that we had already bought in the summer. So I'll not take footballing knowledge from an idiot. That's the way that I look at it. But nonetheless, we are going to take a look into the tactics and the squad and take a look now, because the tactics against Aston Villa, the tactics against Real Madrid, and sort of take a look at the differences between the two of them and where it kind of all fell apart. Because Real Madrid basically set up the exact same way as Manchester City, and the passing maps are exactly the same. So I'm not going to show everybody both of them. But what we are going to do now is we're going to share a screen and we're going to have a look at some tactics boards, because this is how to show things. So once this loads up for me now, right, here's our tactics board. I look like Ruben Amorim. It looks great. Who cares? But what we're going to do is I'm going to load up the save state from, so we have Real Madrid pass map. So if this loads up now, and if it'll load up for me, cool. So this is lined up against Aston Villa. So I'm going to get rid of that pen, clear the drawing. We lined up against Aston Villa. And then if I go and grab Aston Villa and get them here from the Premier League. This is how Aston Villa would have lined up as well. And I'm going to grab them here now once I get the Premier League from here. So we have Aston Villa and we'll get save states, Liverpool versus Aston Villa. So we both like 2-3-1, very simply. Nothing seems straightforward there, how we kind of look. Only change from the last 3 games would have been Gakpo in at left wing. So looking at that lineup, looking at how we sort of set up, Aston Villa are very sort of passive aggressive out of possession. And sorry, I need to address this. I was not wrong, McAllis. You said the squad was thin. The squad wasn't thin. We signed 7 players after selling 7 players. So stop talking nonsense. We signed the same amount of players that we sold and signed more first-team players that we sold. The squad was not thin. Nobody could predict Giovanni Leone having an ACL injury. Nobody could predict an absolute Iron Man in Frimpong having back-to-back hamstring injuries. And they were the major injuries that affected us. Alexi McAllister was starting the season without a preseason. So was Alexander Isak, who then pulled up with a groin injury before Halloween. You cannot sign players on a prediction of injuries, because at that rate, you might as well sign 100 players. So no, stop talking nonsense. Harold here mentioning that we obviously have CM93 graphics. Yes, we do. We obviously have everything of the highest standards at Anything Liverpool. Okay, looking at this lineup, what I want to sort of throw everybody's minds back to the game itself. SJ, how did you sort of, before going into this game, coming off the back of obviously the midweek loss against Crystal Palace and the sort of bad performances before that, how did you feel going into this game? Were you confident going into the Aston Villa game, SJ? And sort of how did you see us playing against Aston Villa? I'm just going to block this because I can't listen to fucking him. I'm done with him.
Said on the stream that week actually before the game, the Slot needed to go back to basics from last season and put Robbo back in instead of Kirkez. Because I think that was... I like Kirkez, don't get me wrong, brilliant player, and he will become a really good player at Liverpool. I just think at the moment I just don't think he quite fits the system, or he's maybe just still finding his feet at the club. So I suggested Robbo back in over Kirkez and just go back to the midfield of last season as well. So when I saw the lineup, I was very happy and a lot more confident when I saw that he had gone back to basics.
Yeah, I was in agreement there. I think Kirkez will come good. I think maybe he was thrown with his feet to the fire a little bit too soon with that. Now, we're going to take a look at the passing maps of both teams. So what I'm going to do is I am going to clear away all of our Aston Villa players, and I'm going to whip up the Liverpool pass map versus Aston Villa. So this is where the pass map comes in. This is where how we set up. Salah isolated here out on his own. He received the ball a fair bit from Bradley and Konate, but that was it. He didn't get fed the ball really from anybody else. Most of our play came in this section here, in where Alexi McAllister, Ryan Gravenberch, Szoboszlai were our main controllers of possession. Now, what I want to show you is Aston Villa's pass map. So I'm going to take everybody off here and get rid of them, and I'm going to open up Aston Villa's pass map. So Villa's pass map versus Liverpool, and this will now load up for me. This is Aston Villa's pass map. You're noticing a trend there. Notice how they have one person very high on our right-hand side and seem to try and overload our right-hand side. There's a reason for that. I'm now going to show you Real Madrid's pass map versus Liverpool. So if this would load up now, that'd be great. That's the pass map. I'm going to go back and I'm going to get La Liga up for Real Madrid, because you're noticing that there's going to be somebody here, and you can probably guess who's going to be there for Real Madrid. But we will take a look at Real Madrid's versus Liverpool pass map. Vinny Jr. was basically pinned here the entire game. Now, are we noticing a trend so far, Dylan, that everybody seems to be attacking us down the right-hand side? Would you be in agreement of that, having watched the last couple of games with Jeremy Doku, Vinicius Jr. and Ollie Watkins basically trying to dominate that right-hand side? Do you feel that there is, we say, a particular weak point in Liverpool's right-hand side at the moment? Is it the right back or is it the right wing?
Yeah, I think it's a kind of a mixture of everything, where we're not as doing, obviously Salah's not going to get as much as back on that side as potentially on the other side, and sometimes the fullback might be slightly isolated. And I think I mentioned it when we were doing the after the Real Madrid game, Stephen, where I said they would technically weren't the same players, but they kind of matched up in terms of what would be there with Doku and Vinicius, with Mbappe and Haaland, and with Foden. I think I mentioned Bellingham potentially being that kind of almost towards that side where they might do the same sort of stuff when we were going through the pre-game stuff for that. So it wasn't really as much of a surprise to me that that's how they kind of went with Doku, to try and kind of isolate on that side and attack down that side as much as they possibly could. So yeah, it was a trend that I kind of probably saw coming in terms of the same way.
Yeah. And Harold here obviously mentioning that they did that last year as well with Manchester City when Trent was there. They did. And Trent got dribbled past so many times that Salah actually had to come back and help. Whereas that was Salah last year in one singular game. He's now a year older, and I don't think he has the legs to continue, in my own personal opinion. Hussein, how do you feel about the right-sidedness of everybody's attack, that they're going down our right side? Have they clearly tried to target what Liverpool were doing last year and letting Salah sort of cheat further forward last year and trying to get in behind him where they might have a numerical advantage? Because normally where Salah would be sitting in this setup in press would be here. He'd be here. So immediately what a lot of them are trying to do, you can see it, they're going to Carreras an awful lot here, and then immediately trying to bypass Salah and go and launch a ball over the top. That seems to be what they're trying to do. Hussein, do you see that Salah currently is a weakness in the side? And do you see that maybe dropping him might help the side? Now, I don't mean to put you on the spot with that question, because that is my opinion. I feel dropping Salah from here on out and not playing him there immediately increases your press. Even if it doesn't increase your offensive output, it stops you leaking goals. How do you feel about that opinion, Hussein?
I mean, I watched a lot of Real Madrid this season, and I think they play like in this similar way against every opposition, but I feel like it would be effective against us if Bradley didn't have the best match of his career, maybe you could say. But I also think that Konate is not really helping Bradley out there, with him having a bad season and Salah not tracking back. So I think that, for example, the Man City game wasn't fully on Bradley because he got no help. He was on an island alone with Doku, and there's not many defenders that could survive that. And I think that Salah's strong point has always been the offensive side, which we overlook the defensive side because he has such good output on the offense. But the offensive side is not really there this season. So I think it's a bit of like lacking from both sides. So I think I have to agree with you. I don't think Salah have enough upside to start him anymore, even if he's been our best player past seasons.
I also don't think we have that creativity on that right-hand side anymore.
There is that to it too, but then if you look at our I'm going to show you our pass map against Real Madrid, and what happens is it's sort of, you can see where
I think
we were going with this.
Away last season because we had Trent in terms of the balls that he was putting in behind for Salah.
But you see, the thing about it is last season we didn't get attacked as much down our right-hand side. They actually targeted our left-hand side because they seen that Andy Robertson was the weakness there when we didn't really have that much of a left back. But now they're really attacking our right-hand side. And the Opta analysis guys done a look at where Liverpool get attacked the most, and it is overwhelmingly down our right-hand side. I'll show you that article in a moment. We're very balanced in our attack. We attack left, right, and central at nearly equal amounts, and we don't favor one side or the other, whereas we're getting absolutely pummeled down our right-hand side. So if you look at this pass map that was here from, this was against Real Madrid, mind you. Salah, again, isolated completely. And you can see Alexi McAllister is basically controlling the entire game, along with Florian Wirtz and Ryan Gravenberch. They're the guys that are really controlling the ball, where you can see that McAllister is basically, in total football terms, he is the go-to. They're playing through him, not to him, if that makes sense. If anybody watched Ted Lasso, they're playing through him, not to him. Jamie Tart. So the ball is constantly going to McAllister before it's then being distributed either to Florian Wirtz, back to Andy Robertson, to Ryan Gravenberch, to Szoboszlai, or then out to Hugo Ekitike. What Hugo Ekitike was doing a lot of the time was he was here against both Huijsen and Militao, and he was pinning them. With the ball being played into him, he was pinning either one of the defenders that was here, which then allowed space for Salah to attack out in this area out here. So Dean Huijsen would have been here behind Ekitike, and Ekitike was making runs this way and then pinning the centre-back behind him. The problem was against Manchester City, we just went away from this completely. We took the ball out of Florian Wirtz and Alexi McAllister's hands and started pinging long balls to Salah here in the hopes that he'd beat Nico Riley. And what Man City done is they made Nico Riley come in here and double up on Ekitike, meaning he had two players on him at all times. So they couldn't really get the ball to him to be that sort of backboard. And they tempted and begged for Salah to try and beat them one-on-one. And he couldn't. Nico Riley put him in his back pocket. That is where a major problem comes from. And I'm going to show you the Opta article now, because I'll show you where Liverpool are attacking. So I'm going to see if I can share this tab instead. So the open play chances that are being created. This is the Opta article from earlier today. You can see here with Liverpool, 37% down the left-hand side, 36% down the centre, and 27% down the right-hand side. Arsenal will be somebody that favours the right-hand side quite a lot, where their attacking third options come from. Everton unbelievably favour their left-hand side. Newcastle favour the centre. And you'd see people like Chelsea are there. They're sort of fairly equal all over. They favour more of the middle as well. That's where we attack. But it also shows people where we get attacked. So this will be Arsenal. They favour very much the right-hand side and the centre more. But then when you look at where we're getting attacked, this will be the attacking left third, so our right-hand side, the middle third, and the right third. They're not touching our centre or our left-hand side whatsoever. They're going overwhelmingly down our right-hand side. So this is where Liverpool are getting attacked from, consistently down our right-hand side. And the reason for that is because Mohamed is not tracking back. He is not doing defensive work. And unfortunately, the offensive side of the ball is not there. That is making up for that lack of defensive effort. SJ, is it time to drop Mohamed Salah from the lineup?
That's a tough question. Based on everything you've just said, I'd have to go with yes. I'm just thinking, do you think it would change if Frimpong was playing there?
Played right wing.
Yeah, because he's got the pace and, you know, he can do the defensive work as well. Do you think that would change?
If you had Bradley as right back and Frimpong as right wing, yes.
I think that's why Slot bought Frimpong in the first place, because I think he was looking at the AFCON in Jan and thinking, okay, we can use Frimpong as obviously a right back when we need to, but I think he was seeing more of a right wing back or whatever it is in January to fill Salah's position. So I think he's had that in mind for a while. But obviously,
I think so as well.
So maybe that's just messed his plan up. But also, Konate has been.
I agree with you.
Awful as well, hasn't he? Like, yeah. Oh, the comments just come up now. But yeah, Konate has not helped the situation at all either. I don't know where.
No, not at all.
Probably his head's been in Madrid, but
possibly it could possibly.
Yeah,
be that.
but he just
we've Harold here mentioning. Yeah,
he looks like he's got no confidence, Konate. I don't know whether it's because people have been slagging him off online and stuff, including us at times. But yeah, I don't know. He just like even on the weekend, you know, he made so many mistakes. You know, even when they got given the penalty early on, it was from his mistake.
Oh,
just boot the ball. Like I didn't get.
But not even boot the ball. He could have just let it go out. Like Bradley was shielding Doku off to let the ball go out for a goal kick, and Konate just comes over, throws it back off Doku, and Doku's immediately in for a one-on-one. If he left it for 2 more seconds, it goes out of play. And then headering the ball back to them with sort of no real intent on where the ball is supposed to go to. And you're kind of like, what are we doing here? Like we've Harold here mentioning they attack our right-hand side because we have Bradley without proper support and Konate beside him that is sometimes horrible as well.
I would have brought Gomez
mentioning
at half time.
But see, the problem is with that, SJ, like we've 3 fit centre backs. You really don't want to overwork one of them too at the meantime as well. Like you have Ben mentioning here, Konate's worst games always come away from home. Possibly. Is it like James Harden for anybody that watches the NBA that he only works well in cities that have a good strip club? That seems to be the case. That is not even a joke. Somebody looked at the data analysis for it, and places that have high-rated strip clubs, this player in the NBA performed better. That is not even a word of a lie. But nonetheless, maybe it's just like his homesick.
Who would you replace at the moment then? Because obviously Frimpong's injured. Who would you replace?
I'd put Chiesa in. Or if you were sticking with your 4-2-3-1, I'd put Chiesa at right wing because he's willing to run, he's willing to press, he's willing to do that dog work.
Yeah.
Or if you really wanted to go about it and go hell for leather into AFCON, I'd drop Salah completely out of the lineup and change to a 4-3-1-2 with Florian Wirtz being like your quarterback in front of a midfield 3, but behind both strikers. And you can play both Cody Gakpo, Alexander Isak, and Hugo Ekitike in that front too. Chiesa also has experience of playing a second striker at Juventus too, so he could fit in there too. I feel that is probably the transition that we're moving to, that it's a Salah-less side. And then with your midfield 3, you put Gravenberch in the middle of that, who can then drop in between both centre-backs and make your pseudo back 3. Let's both full-backs get forward, be it Kirkes, Robbo, Frimpong, Bradley, and get into the dangerous areas where they really made a name for themselves last year. Yeah. Like, as Harold mentions here, Salah needs to be dropped and he needs to get his hunger again. He needs to be pissed off. Yeah. And we said this before the Real Madrid game. Or before the Aston Villa game as well, that Salah had ended up deleting all of his social media stuff for Liverpool or something like that. And then all of us, I said it on stream not long after, that a pissed off Salah is a dangerous Salah. And then all of a sudden he comes out against Aston Villa and presses the life out of them and does the exact same against Real Madrid and then falls off a cliff against Man City. And you're kind of like, we need the hunger. Yes, you're saying, go ahead. Sorry.
I think, like, for example, like against the City game, as I said, I only was able to watch the second half, but he was offside like 4 or 5 times in a row, didn't track back, just didn't seem like he wanted to be there. So why is he on the field then? But also, I mean, against Liverpool, he played well, but he had a chance to pass Wirtz for open goal. Against Aston Villa, also he had an open pass and chose to shoot, but he didn't like convert into a goal. I think he's trying too much in some parts and he's trying way less than he should at some parts. And I think, as you spoke, I think Isaac and Ekitike would be the optional like 2 strikers. I mean, I have seen Isaac play it in Sweden for a couple of, I think it was a full year. And I think it's very fitting for him. Of course, with Ekitike being able to link up play very good. He also played it in Frankfurt with Marmoush. So I think that would be the optional lineup for us. I mean, Salah's just not doing it anymore, and I think we have to like address it. We can't just keep playing him out of form and hope he gets better. I mean, we're Liverpool. We have to do better. We can't lose this many games and keep playing the same way we play.
Yeah, I 100% agree with you. I'm going to show you the lineup that I want to go with now. And I'm just going to put it on here and share it. And I'll show you what I mean about how it will move and flow into a 3-4-3 and then a 2-5, which is a fun is something that we are very familiar. So this is what I will be looking at. You have your goalkeeper, 3, and then you have your 10 and your 2 strikers ahead of him like this. That is how I would view it. Now, some people might look at that and look on paper and think that's very narrow, but bear with me. All of a sudden, Conor Bradley gets to go up here. Florian Wirtz gets to move up a little bit. Szoboszlai moves up. McAllister moves up. You then make a little diamond here. Virgil van Dijk can sit out. Konate can move out. Andy Robertson moves up. There's your 3-4-3. Immediately covers against counterattacks. You then have a lot of sort of technically gifted players in the middle of the pitch. Yes, there's a little bit of a gap there at the moment, but this is very crudely done right now. But this will be sort of where you can look. And this will be the area that I will be looking at sort of controlling in here. And then you have the likes of out here, you have this triangle as well. And then you have the triangle out here too. And that immediately beats so many presses. Controlling these areas beats the first line of the press every time. And immediately you're on a transition when you have 2 strikers that have unbelievable pace getting in behind centre backs. And then if you were to transition into a attacking setup, Bradley all of a sudden comes here, there, and then these guys push up a little bit, and then immediately you have your 3, and then you have your 2 in the middle here. It's better just to draw a line. You have your 2 in the middle here, and then you have your 5 here. Isak running in behind, Ekitike running in behind, Robertson able to get into areas like up here on the offensive side of it, and Bradley able to get into areas like here. You then have Wirtz controlling this area, being a quarterback for everybody on the offensive side of the ball, and then you have Alexander Isak and Ekitike making runs into the box like this, where you have 2 6'4" strikers receiving crosses from Kerkez, who was unbelievable at it, and Frimpong, who's unbelievable at getting the ball into the box as well. That's more so how I will be looking at it, to see it's just the way that I want to look at it. And I think that's probably the way we're going to move to it. Dylan, we haven't heard from you in a while, and we've heard my dopey Irish accent for quite enough now at this point. How do you think I'm in any way an idiot for suggesting this, or do you think that we maybe just need to give Mohamed Salah a little bit more time at the moment?
I think we are probably going to build towards something like this in the next season or two, because that's why I think we have Frimpong, we have Kerkez, because I do think we are going to move towards this with pacier fullbacks who are going to be getting forward more often than potentially what we've had previously for the last year or so. So it wouldn't surprise me if we did end up with either a 2 up front or a 1 up front with 2 behind, for example. It wouldn't surprise me at all if that's how we ended up going in the future. And I think if you're going to buy Isak and Ekitike, then you're going to have to try it eventually, because if one of them's not doing very well or not playing very well, or one of them's getting injured, for example, you need another option that's going to be there for the other strikers to come in as well. So I think we will end up moving to something close to probably what you're just saying there as well, where we can drop a midfielder back, so we've still got a bit of cover. The only thing I would say is, going forward with that, I think areas we do need to improve on is when we're getting counter-attacked already, because we've seen it already this season when teams have counter-attacked on us quickly. We do leave a lot of space in there, so it would be something that would need considering. Just a couple of things from earlier on when we were talking about the kind of right-hand side of the attacks and stuff as well. One thing, I don't know whether it's a factor to consider as well. It could be the fact that Szoboszlai's had to play at right back. Bradley and Frimpong have been out injured. So almost in terms of not tactically side of it, but just from a footballing side of it, naturally as a footballer you go, they're back from injury, I'm going to attack down that side. They're not a right back, I'm going to attack down that side. Konate's out of form, so I'm going to attack down that side. So it could just not just be a case of just because Salah's not tracking back. It should just be a case of they're going, that's a new fella in there, or that's an injured fella in there. Let's attack down that side more often and get at him and see if we can test him early on. So could also be a factor in that.
No, I agree with you. Yeah.
In terms of the Salah thing, you know my feelings on Salah. I've said it more than enough times on it. For me, he's Mo Salah. He could keep starting in my team regardless of kind of the tracking back side of stuff, because I still think he'll still have those moments. But I do think there's just this reluctance to take him out of the team for substitutions, or even just dropping him every once in a while, every game or a game, and then putting back in, like you said about pissed off Salah. I just don't think you should just be starting him every single game. But I still would be having him in my team, and he'd still be in my starting 11 if we were starting a team. So that would just be how I would be for now.
No, I completely agree with you. And just to address Aryl's point here on the press, well, if you take Salah out of the press and then you have somebody like Frimpong or Bradley who have an engine, and then you have Szoboszlai on that right-hand side as well, who's a very big engine, and then both Hugo Ekitike, Florian Wirtz, and Dominic Szoboszlai are our best pressers. Getting them in areas that they can press will help you massively. And if 80% of your front five, so Florian Wirtz, Hugo Ekitike, Andy Robertson, and Conor Bradley, or Milos Kerkez, or Jeremy Frimpong on either one of the sides, then press like an animal, you can kind of allow Isak to be that lesser of a presser in that front five, because if 80% of it is pressing, and then you have Dominic Szoboszlai sat behind that along with Alexi McAllister, and then a back three to protect against the long balls, which was the point that you mentioned here as well, Harold. A back three can protect against an awful lot more long balls than just having a back two of both of your centre backs. So your back three of 4 6'4" guys and 6'5" guys in Gravenberch, Konate, and Van Dijk, it's not even protecting against the long balls. The issue then becomes in winning the second ball following the aerial duel, which is something that we didn't really do an awful lot in our sort of run of losses. But then against Aston Villa and Real Madrid, we were winning every second ball. They couldn't get to a second ball before us. And if they did, we were in their pocket and on their hip immediately, pressuring them. That's more so where you'll find we win and lose games, is the effort on second balls, Harold. And with the press, as I mentioned, that kind of gets solved when you have a front five and 80% of them can press like an absolute animal. Ben mentioning here that system would absolutely frighten Frimpong, or would suit Frimpong, I'm assuming he means there, massively, as he excels as a wing back, similarly to Milos Kerkez. But we are going to stop fixing Liverpool now, and we're going to talk about a couple of other topics that we have on for this evening. So some of the rumours that we have, and before we get into that, I am going to ask us to, everybody, make sure to like and subscribe if you haven't done so already. Make sure you have your notifications on for all future streams and videos so that you never miss out. We will be live again on Friday with another stream. We will be live again then on Sunday with another stream, finishing out the international break before getting into a build-up into our game against Nottingham Forest when we come back from international break Saturday week. Very looking forward to that. We have a good run of games that we can get our teeth into, and hopefully get a good amount of points and start regaining some ground in this title race. Yes, Ben, autocorrect, frighten Pong. We'll forgive you for that one. But I'm going to talk about the rumours that have surrounded Liverpool over the past couple of days regarding our transfers and who's going to come in, because we've been linked with Bastoni from Inter Milan. I don't think that's going to happen for 80 million quid. We've been linked with Mark Gahey, and we've been linked with Antoine Semenyo. I'm going to go around everybody and sort of get their thoughts on it, and everybody in the comments as well. I want you to get your thoughts in the comments about each one of those players and how you think they'd fit. It seems to be that we're targeting a very sort of certain type of ball-playing centre-back. Bastoni, Schlotterbeck, Gahey, Upamecano is another one, or Upamecano is another one, however the fuck you pronounce that Wi-Fi password's name. He's another guy that we're kind of targeting too. So Hussein, I'll throw it to you first. How do you feel about who we're targeting as a centre back? Does this show you a clear shift away from maybe a big duel winner like Ibrahima Konate and somebody who's more comfortable on the ball and being able to play it out from the back and progress from the back? I
mean, I think with the Konate contract situation also being a thing, I think we need to address the situation sooner rather than later. I mean, I'm really sad that we didn't get Gay from the summer window. I would really love to see him in a Liverpool shirt, but I think, I mean, Konate has been below standards by a mile. I think we need someone that can progress the ball from both sides, because, I mean, we are such a versatile team now with having, if we move to the formation that you spoke about, we have like Kirk is very high up the field and Firpong very high up the field, putting the ball at the center back's feet more often than the full backs, which will then be able to progress the ball. So I think these type of players would be fitting towards where we want to go, maybe more than where we are currently, in a sense. But I mean, Bastoni is like a dream signing, but it's not really realistic. I mean, I think I even tweeted, like, I saw like price sounds at like 100 million, and we're not going to pay that. Yeah. So I think Gay is probably like the realistic one, but then of course we let him go out with his contract, so maybe Real Madrid would swoop in and take him or something similar. So I think we need to, of course, address the situation fast. It's going a bit too far now, I think.
Yeah. Harold, I would, the only way I see Gay happening in January is if Palace are willing to let him go, first of all, in any shape or form, and also that Palace are willing to let him go for about 15 million. I don't see either of those taking place. Palace had all summer knowing that he was leaving on a free and not extending his contract to try and find a replacement and bed them in this season behind Mark Gahey. They didn't do it. We then bid for Mark Gahey after the Community Shield and had personal terms agreed with him just before that. They had a whole month to try and get a transfer in. No, they pulled it in the last minute and kept Mark Gahey because Oliver Glasner basically said, I'm going to throw myself off the top of Sellers Park if you don't do it. And then I don't see them letting him go now mid-season because they're not going to sell their best defender. And this kind of goes for Bastoni too, which Shane was mentioning. Inter are in a Champions League battle with us. Inter aren't going to sell their best defender mid-season when they're trying to go for Serie A and a Champions League. Palace aren't going to sell their best defender and try and bed in a new guy halfway through a season when they're in a European Cup competition and playing for 3 other competitions and doing quite well in the league as well, mind you. It would just completely upset the apple cart. And then when it comes to Semenyo, exact same situation. They're chasing a European spot with Bournemouth. They're not going to lose their best attacker halfway through the season, who I feel is possibly a bit, maybe not a bit, kind of a lot overrated. It's my own personal opinion on Semenyo. But SJ, I'll throw it over to you next with regards to this. How do you feel about the rumours about Semenyo specifically? Because people are crying out for a centre-back and more defensive help and possibly some midfield help. And it's our attack isn't the problem. We're creating lots of chances, but the problem is we're really conceding a lot of chances. So how do you feel about the Semenyo links, and do you feel there's any validity to him maybe coming in January at all?
I think there's a possibility he comes in Jan. Again, I think maybe they're thinking long term with that one. I think Salah might be off next summer. I really do. I think this could be his last season.
I think so too.
Especially the way he's playing at the moment as well. I don't know, it kind of feels, when I watch Salah, it kind of feels like he even knows that there's something going on behind the scenes, that he even knows that he's going to be going this season. And he probably feels personally that there's not much more I can really do. I've won everything at Liverpool. He had an incredible season last season. That's how it's portraying on the pitch anyway, to me. So maybe with the Semenyo, when they're probably trying to get him in Jan, just so they've got him, maybe because they know the Salah's going to be off next summer, and then they don't want to, compete with other clubs for Semenyo, because I'm sure a lot of clubs will be in after him. So maybe they want to get that locked down January. Maybe they got a bit PTSD with the Mark Guy situation as well. So they don't want another one of them. But I don't think we need Semenyo in Jan. I think we need Gahey massively. We need another centre-back. I think we need another defensive midfielder as well. So I think that's probably what they'll look to in the summer next year. But yeah, I prefer Gahey in January to Semenyo. But I agree with you. I think I don't think they're going to be selling their best players in January. There's no chance.
No.
Especially because I think all the players you just mentioned, all the clubs, they're all doing really well and competing. I mean, Crystal Palace, I mean, they're in an incredible position, aren't they, at the moment? And they've had an amazing start to the season. They've dropped off the last few weeks, but still, they're still doing amazing. And, you know, he's captain as well, isn't he? So, you know, they're not going to let their captain go. And I think he's probably made a commitment now, right? This is my last year. I'll see the year out and then I'll go. I think that's probably what the agreement is with them. And again, with, did you see Bastoni?
Bastoni was the other one then too.
Yeah. Again, you know, they're like you said, they're chasing the Serie A and Champions League. And yeah, they're not going to let him go in January.
Yeah. I think it's just a bit of a pipe dream to expect any of them three to move in January, given their club situation, because everybody's like, oh, well, we can just go in and pay the money. Yeah, we can pay the money, no problem. But the issue is whether the other club wants to sell or not. You need two to tango, unfortunately. Dylan, with those players that are linked, is there any of them that you see happening in January being likely? And sort of where do you feel our resources should be next pooled towards? Should it be the central midfield to get another holding midfielder? Do you think maybe Stefan Bajcetic returning will help with that? Because he's back in training now and hopefully he's getting ready to gear up with the under-21s and will probably feature in the second half of the season if he doesn't go on loan in January. Do you feel that we should be pooling it more towards the centre-back department, or maybe signing Semenyo to put him at that right wing position to bring his legs and his running power in to the side, all of a sudden solves the right-hand side problems too? Do you feel that, like, it's kind of a catch-22, really, when you look at it? It's like, do you get Semenyo to shore up the pressing from the front, which stops the leaking at the back, or do you get another defender to put in at the back to stop the leaking at the back, or where do you do it? Because Slot and Klopp share a philosophy that you defend from the front and you press from the front, and that stops you conceding goals. So where's your head at with it?
And my priority would be in the defence, to be honest with you, because when you look at the goals we're conceding during this season, away games in particular, we're having to score at least twice just to get anything out of a game. Really, we're conceding 2 and 3 goals each time we're playing away from home. So it would be a priority for me. Would be the centre half situation. I think we've had the discussion quite a few times when we spoke about transfers with Gay, that I'm of the opinion you just go in just in January if we're in for any sort of trophies for the end of the season. More to get him and get a trophy than it is to wait to the summer and just get him for free. So that would be my opinion. I would be go and get him, pay whatever the money is, if it's 20, 25, whatever. I know it's probably more than you want to pay for somebody in January who's out of contract, but for me, the trophy at the end of the season will mean more if we get one of the big ones. If we get the Champions League, anything like that, then I'd be chasing that in January to make sure we kind of get something like that over the line. Bastoni, I can't see happening. If it does happen, it'll be the summer. I don't think anything like that will be happening in January, just purely based on kind of price. Like you said, he's going to be wanting to try and win the Scudetto. He's going to be trying to win the Champions League. He's not going to want to kind of mid-season be put off, and Inter Milan aren't going to want to sell. And Semenyo as well, similar type of situation. I think purple patch he's having is going to drive the price up for massively what he is for how I think he'd fit into our team. We've already discussed when he's in Bournemouth, he's having less of the ball. He's not having to create it against low blocks very often. They are kind of more counter-attacking with him in attack. So how do you then transition that across to us? So it's not a kind of player that I would take him if he came to us, but I wouldn't be paying the types of prices they want for us. So my main priority would be get Gay in January if we can, and then either a Slotterbeck or Bastoni next summer and work from there.
Yeah, I will be of the same opinion of that. I think we share the same opinion on Semenyo, that he's maybe a little bit overrated right now, just purely because do you know who he reminds me of? Last season with Omar Marmoush. Somebody that was unbelievably overperforming their expected. And to put it into perspective, Omar Marmoush had, I believe it was either 33 or 36 goal contributions by January in the Bundesliga. From January until the end of the season, after City signed him for 70 odd million and 300 grand a week, he had 7. Just to give you context of how far he dropped off. And that's also with a move to a harder league that he just completely capitulated and fell over. His expected goal contribution return at the first half of the season last year was about 16, but he had like 33, which is nuts. Like I wanted him at the start of the season, and then I seen him like really starting to overperform, like beyond anything that anybody expected. And I was like, no, don't touch him. Don't touch him. He's running way too hot at the moment. Semenyo is doing the exact same thing right now. He has, I think, 10 goal contributions, and he only has about 5 expected. And he's doing it against teams that play way more open than teams do against us. Somebody ran the numbers on it with Opta, and Liverpool face low blocks and mid blocks 60% of the time. They don't face teams that are open all that often at all. The only teams that Semenyo would really be good against, and this is similarly to Florian Wirtz, I feel too a little bit, that the only teams Semenyo would be good against initially until he kind of adapts to playing against those teams will be the Man Cities, the Arsenals, and the Champions League games. They're the only real games that you're going to be playing against open opponents.
Well, Wirtz is playing better in the Champions League, isn't he?
There you go. Like, look at him against Frankfurt and look at him against Real Madrid. 2 very open games, and he was untouchable in both.
Yeah.
Then you put him in the Premier League against a low block, and it's something that he has to learn and play against, because with Leverkusen, he really didn't face that many low blocks in the Bundesliga either. Ekitike is something similar as well. These guys that are coming from the big teams in other leagues don't really face all that many low blocks that Liverpool do.
Yeah.
Because if you take a look at Burnley put 11 men in their own box. They had 19% possession in that game. You're never going to see that again against a Premier League side unless they're fresh coming up from the Championship. Sunderland as well are a team that actually sit in a low block quite a lot, and they actually took it to Arsenal and played football against Arsenal and nearly beat Arsenal, mind you. So they're a good team, and I'm a bit worried about them after the international break, but thank fuck it's at home, because if we had to go to the Stadium Light for that, I'd be a little bit concerned about that game, because they're a brilliant team. They're brilliantly coached. But it's going to be interesting to see what happens in January. Where do Liverpool move? Do Liverpool move? Because we are not the type of club that will make a signing for the sake of making a signing. It has to make sense.
Yeah.
And that's just the way that it is. And that pisses some fans off. But take a look at Romeo Lavia. That was somebody that so many people were annoyed about that we didn't get. Take a look at Manuel Ugarte. Take a look at João Palhinha. They were players that people wanted and wanted badly. Romeo Lavia has played, 5 games for Chelsea in 2 years? Manuel Ugarte is the most untechnically sound football player I have ever seen in my life. And even his his previous manager, is now his current manager in Ruben Amorim, says you've lost all want for the game. You don't want to play anymore. And he said your lack of energy is completely night and day from when you were at Sporting. And then João Palhinha went off and made his big move to Bayern Munich and completely shit the bed and couldn't even make it there, and came back then now and plays with Spurs and just kicks the shins out of everybody. That's all he does. Now, we're going to move on to our last topic of the day, which is a little bit of a sad one, but nonetheless, we do need to talk about it because it's a possibility of somebody coming back in January. But before we do that, make sure to like and subscribe if you haven't done so already. Make sure you have your notifications on for all future streams and videos so that you never miss out. We have a link in our Twitter bio, or our Twitter page currently at the moment. Underneath this, jump over to our YouTube page. There is a link down below if you're watching on Twitter at the moment. Make sure to jump over, leave a like, subscribe, and let us know your thoughts on the stream. We'd love to hear from you guys. And obviously DJ Maddox here mentioning as well that Florian Wirtz was great on his international breaks. He was, because he was playing teams that played open. They don't sit in low blocks. Now, do I think Florian Wirtz will figure this out? Absolutely. Something that also needs to be pointed out. Florian Wirtz is the only player that has created more than 20 chances in the Premier League so far this season, and not a single one of them has registered as an assist. So it would help if his fucking forwards would put the ball in the back of the net as well. It would also help if Mohamed Salah would pass the ball every once in a while. Cody Gakpo is a victim of it as well, who took a shot instead of playing Wirtz to square a ball to score. Multiple occasions for Florian Wirtz. If things fell his way, Florian Wirtz could nearly be on 10 goals and 15 assists at this point. Let's be perfectly real. It hasn't clicked. And when it does, it's going to fucking explode, and I can't wait for it. Speaking of attacking midfielders, there's one attacking midfielder that is currently on loan and just isn't getting game time, and that is poor Harvey Elliott. Harvey Elliott was on loan in the summer to go join Aston Villa, and within that loan clause there was a 10 appearances buy clause that was automatically triggered for 35 million once he made 10 appearances. He has made 5 appearances so far for Aston Villa and hasn't featured an awful lot in any of those 5 appearances or in the squad outside of that. SJ, do you think for all of his faults, at least Harvey Elliott runs, and he runs quite a lot, and he presses quite a lot, and he puts a lot of energy in. Do you foresee a situation where this loan deal is ended and he's put in at right wing instead of Mohamed Salah when AFCON rolls around?
I was gutted when he left, to be honest with you. I really liked Harvey Elliott. I loved his attitude. He loved the club and still loves the club. I loved his work ethic as well. I would love to have him back in Jan. You know, I know we talk about the system and all that, and obviously rightly so. But what's really shocked me is the attitude of the players. I think that's been a bit of an issue as well. If we're being completely honest, they're not. I just don't see a lot of fight in the team at the moment. I don't see the intensity isn't there, in my opinion. It's quite lackluster. They don't really look like they care on the pitch. And yeah, I think get him back, get Harvey back. At least he, like you said, at least he'll run for the team and he'll give his all. Because I think we're lacking that as well at the moment in the team.
Yeah. And as well, he seems to have sort of a pass-first attitude rather than a shoot-first attitude, which Mohamed Salah has the opposite of. And people might think that I'm slighting Salah on this stream. I am to a degree because he doesn't put in the defensive work ethic. And effort costs nothing, in my opinion. No. And that's more so where my opinion on that comes from. But I'm not saying that Mohamed Salah doesn't pass. The man nearly had a 2020 season last year in the Premier League alone. He obviously does pass. But the problem is that he's greedy. And that's what you get from a goal scorer. And that's completely fine. If he was putting the ball in the back of the net at the same rate he was last season, nobody would complain. The problem is he isn't. And he's making sort of the wrong decision in those critical situations where he knows he's off form a little bit. Maybe I don't shoot this. Maybe I pass it. He could have had Florian Wirtz and Alexander Isak on for goals a couple of times because they're running in and crashing the box after him. But yeah. Dylan, how do you feel about the situation that Harvey Elliott is in? It's clearly, as Ben said here, it seems that Villa fans think it was a bit of a panic buy just to shut people up. Maybe Unai Emery just doesn't like him. Like, they do have a 10 in, I can't remember, is it Buena? Is the name of the 10 that they have at the minute? I think I might be mispronouncing that, but he's performing quite well. But something I found very funny as well is Opta done another thing on who gives the most space to people. And Villa are completely passive out of possession. They give everybody space everywhere. So you'd think somebody that would just run their heart out and try and put pressure on players would actually benefit them. Mm-hmm. So how do you feel about Harvey Elliott's situation? And do you think him coming back might, benefit us as somebody that has the legs to be able to run on that right-hand side?
Yeah, it's one of the things with him as well is it's not only the effort he puts in and the kind of he wears his heart on the sleeve on the pitch. It's he loves Liverpool. He's always wanted to play for them. He wants to be there. In terms of his ability, he's versatile. He can go across different areas across the pitch. He gives you that option, which is why I think ended up actually almost hindering him slightly, because it was kind of just you could just fill gaps rather than you're a definite starter or anything like that, which is it felt like it had to be the right time for him to move, and I felt bad at the time to say that when he was going. I was like, I wanted him to stay, but equally I was like, for his own career, I can see the personal kind of aspect to it, why he needed a move to finally get proper consistent first team football all the time, and that didn't happen. So for me, it would be a no-brainer. If they don't want him and he doesn't fancy him, take him back in January, let him be an option on our bench rather than not even in their squad, because I would still have him off the bench if we needed him. I'd still have him for the odd cup game or for the starting here and there, but it just felt like for his own personal career, that's the kind of move he needed to be able to go on to. So yeah, I'm of the opinion I'd rather have him in our squad as an option than sat on somebody else's squad list without even getting into their team. So yeah, and from an own personal perspective as well, he was my son's favourite player. He's got 2 signed shirts of his upstairs, so definitely have him back from my son's point of view as well.
Slight bias.
Yeah, exactly.
Slight bias.
Yeah, own personal bias there as well.
No, look, I love Harvey as well. It's worth it. See, I'm a Chicago Bulls fan, and one of my favourite players outside of Michael Jordan was Dennis Rodman. Somebody that just worked, did the dog work, did the dirty work that you don't see show up on a stat sheet, and you can see it when you watch a game that they're just everywhere. They're running the grass off the field, and that's just the way that I like my players, which is why I like Nunez quite a lot as well, despite everybody not really liking him either. He wore his heart in his sleeve, he ran his heart out for the club, and you would never question his work ethic. That's the way that I look at it. Ben, to sort of answer your question, who does he replace on the bench? Rio Ngamoa, because Rio Ngamoa is not getting any time. He might as well be playing with the under-21s and getting minutes under his belt. There's no point in him being on the bench when he's not getting played. Fairly simply, like, unfortunately, that's the way that I do. Because Rio Ngamoa is getting absolutely fuck all game time, and it's there you go. Me and Harold thinking exactly the same. He replaces Rio. I don't think he'd replace Jones because they're different positions, but I think he'd replace Rio as sort of a forward option to bring on. Hussein, to finish us off before we end up closing out the stream for tonight, how do you feel about Harvey Elliott's situation in Villa? Do you feel that he's poised for a return to us? Do you think he stays in January, or do you think he maybe possibly goes out on another different loan in January?
I mean, I would love for him to stay because I have looked at a lot of statistics from Liverpool this season. We have actually the second against City. We had the second lowest success rate in winning duels. We won 38% of our duels, which is
that's shocking.
Yeah, and we have also the third lowest distance covered in Premier League, which is also crazy. I mean, I don't even recognize these numbers from my club, but I mean, I think having Harvey Elliott instead of Salah would also help us defensively, because when we press, they often found the solutions on their left side, which is Salah's right side then, because Salah half presses and then they chip to the fullback, and the fullback has spaces of have so much space, and then that's where the counterattacks build from. So I think Harvey Elliott would be perfect to try something new, I guess, in a sense. But then again, I think Arne Slot had a reason why he loaned him out to Aston Villa, unfortunately. So I have a hard time seeing him getting playing time. So I think it's also unfair to Chiesa, which has been putting in so much work for the club, and then someone coming back from loan and taking his spot, which I think he earned. I have a hard time seeing him getting playing time, but I would love to see him back in the club at least.
Yeah, I think I would as well. It's one of them that I think people are going to debate over is, did he get enough playing time? Did he get enough of a run of the games? People are already looking and being revisionistic over Tyler Morton and how he's performing in Liga at the moment with Lyon. And I'm kind of like, there's levels. There's performing against, Rennes in League One, and then there's performing against Man City and Everton in the Premier League. There's levels to it. He might be. I think that league suits him. It's slower. It's more methodical. It's not as physical as the Premier League. Anytime he did play for us, I didn't see him really, wow anybody. And the people that made the decision around him and Harvey and others that left, see them training every day of the week and are around them nearly 24/7. So they get a much better insight to how these players perform than we do and how they train. But it's going to be an interesting one to see how we go into January. And obviously we're looking very far ahead at that. But I think the next thing that we need to focus on is the next run of games outside of the international break. Win as many of them as we possibly can. Start closing the gap to Arsenal, because Arsenal are going to make more slip-ups like they did against Sunderland. And that's how you close the gap on them. Man City is just Haaland and pray. You take Haaland out of the game like we did, and all of a sudden they're much harder to beat. But the problem is that we just lost it in the midfield of that game. They ran over us. That's the only way that you can look at it. I want to thank everybody for joining us on this Wednesday stream. We lost SG, unfortunately. I think he might have had to go at 8 o'clock on the dot, and we ran a little bit over time. But before we go, make sure to like and subscribe if you haven't done so already. Make sure you have your notifications on for all future streams and videos so that you never miss out. If you are currently watching on X or Twitter at the moment, jump down into the replies below and you will see a link straight over to our YouTube page where you can catch all of our other content and other streams. If you want to watch for the evening, please leave a like, leave a comment, subscribe, and put your notifications on so that you never miss out. From myself, Dylan, and Hussein, and SJ, who left us unfortunately, thank you so much for watching us, and I hope